Hello creatives! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Angela, a graphic designer and an illustrator. For those of you who do not know, who are new here, I know I have a lot of new subscribers. Thank you so much. And today we're going to be in Illustrator on the iPad. For any of you who are not familiar with it, I'm going to show you how to do some really fun patterns but with type. It's going to be kind of like an illusion. I have done videos of making patterns in Illustrator on the iPad before. I will link it here or here somewhere for you guys to check it out. And today I'm going to show you how to do it with type. This is what I have open right now. I have created these. These are all done with type using the different repeat options. I know I haven't been on the iPad in a while, so let's dive in. Here are the three that I'm going to recreate for all of you, and I'll show you how I did it. If you're not familiar with my channel, sometimes I like to showcase the piece and then I show you how to achieve it. So let's get into it. And we're going to start with Daydreamer. I have a lot of my swatches already chosen. For those of you who are not familiar with swatches in Illustrator, there is a fill and stroke color down here on the left toolbar. And this is under the solid color option. You have a color wheel, you have all your different CMYK sliders, and you also have an area for swatches. These swatches you can save and they will remain there for you. You also have tons of things to choose from color books and libraries and such like that. So let's choose the type tool over here on the left toolbar. There's lots of tools and options on the toolbars on the left and the right. Let's tap on our first artboard. I'm going to start in the center. Our artboards are a basic art print size. So let's double tap in. Your default for your type in Illustrator on the iPad is going to be Source Sans Pro. I'm going to type in Daydreamer. Let's change it to purple. There we go. So you're going to have a properties panel open up on the right. It's going to pop up automatically, but I don't need it for now, so I'm just going to hide it by tapping on the three sliders over here. I'm going to grab this crosshairs in the quick selection menu and pull this into the center. And then we're going to choose a repeat option. The repeat options are right here on your lower right on the right toolbar. And we're going to choose the Radial Repeat option. It's the first one there, and it's going to look like this when you first select it. Mess with the settings here a little bit until we get what we want. Yes. Alright, so it's going to look kind of like a hashtag. This is kind of cool actually, the hashtag. Select this and rotate it if I wish. There are other selections in here as well for, let me zoom in for you all. There are these two arrow handles. It may be a little difficult to see. There are two arrow handles inside and then an arrow handle slider on the outside that increases the number of items that you get in the repetition. And then the internal one takes items away or adds them, and then there is a dot on the opposing side where if you pull it in, it pulls things in closer together, and then when you push it out, it spreads things out further apart. I like this, and let's then repeat this again, and we're going to use a grid instead. I kind of want to rotate this a little bit so that way it's on an angle. We'll do it at a 45-degree angle, and then let's choose the repeat option again over here on the right toolbar and choose grid. Ooh, let's zoom out by pinching our screen, and it's going to give us quite a large grid. Oh my. Alright, bring this down. The great thing about the repeat options in Illustrator is that nothing remains broken. You can always redo everything that's in here. When you pull the handles in or out, depending on how many you want repeated across for this grid, it doesn't destroy anything. You can go back in, you can resize it, change as much of it as you wish without having to go back in and recreate the entire thing, which I really appreciate. So in your properties panel on these three sliders over here on the right toolbar, there are some options. If you slide down with your Apple Pencil, there are some options here in the Grid Repeat selection. There is different grid types. I like to go with the second one just because it offsets everything. It's called a brick by brick, if you will, in like the desktop version of Illustrator. So I like to give it more of a brick grid repeat, and that way you can get this look here instead of it being completely symmetrical. It's a little offset. Now these sliders over here, there are two slider arrows here and here. This is for spacing in between, and it showcases it with a guide. So you have a spacer guide that shows up, usually in pink. I'm not sure if you can change that setting, by the way. If anyone knows, let me know. But you can change the spacing here and here, and the spacing here and here. So I'm going to change up the spacing ever so slightly, so that way we have something that now looks like this. We have this one in purple. I'm going to duplicate this one and do it in white as well. It would be more readable when we put the background on. So I'm going to duplicate this layer by pressing the double pages in the quick selection menu that it appears whenever you select something. Move this up slightly, and it's going to kind of look like that. There we go. Change the fill color to white. You won't be able to see much of it because there's no background other than white right now. Let's choose the shape tool and let's just draw a square for the background and just match it up to the artboard itself. I have already saved my swatches previously, especially my gradients as well. But if you want to make your own gradient, select the fill color, go from solid color over to gradient because there are two different kinds. There's solid color where you can choose just solid colors, and then there is gradient. If you go over to gradient, it will give you options to make a gradient with the linear gradient, which is the first option right here. Then you have a radial gradient, which is circular and goes from the middle outwards. And then you have a freeform gradient, which allows you to place your points of color wherever you want on that artboard. Really quite handy if you want some really nice custom gradients. But I'm going to do a linear one, and the linear one happens to default to certain colors depending on the color you have chosen. Sometimes it's blue to green, sometimes it's red to purple. Make this one my dark purple, and then this one's going to be more of a pink color. I want it to be more of a light pink, but I already have mine selected. I'm just showing you kind of the process of how this will go. I think mine was more of a red pink. There we go. And then there is an opacity slider here. Sometimes I like to mess with the opacity just to give it a lighter, softer feel from the lighter color into the darker color, which has full opacity. That's how you get your gradients. Now I'm going to change this over to the one I had previously done because I think mine is darker. Mine's a little bit more vibrant. In the layers panel, which is the first icon here on the right toolbar, you can open that up by simply tapping on it. Open up your layers by tapping on these little arrows here. Drag and drop your layers in the proper placement that they need to be in. Since we have it running off the edge, create another box just on top. I'm going to select everything that's in that layer by tapping on the layer. When you open up the layers panel and tap on a layer, it selects everything for you. And then create a clipping mask in this little icon down here above the outlined T on the right toolbar. That gives you your object options. It clips it to the size of the artboard. And that is our first pattern. Our next pattern is going to encompass another word. I'm going to go over here to technically my second artboard over here, and it's going to be the word red. I don't know how many of you are Taylor Swift fans. I am one. So I'm going to do her signature red. Now this is not going to stay the default text, the default font. I don't like the default font completely, so I'm going to change it to Haas Round Bold. I like that look. And this one, let's increase the text size. You can increase the text size in the iPad version, On this quick selection menu here, there are two T's, one that is small and one that is big. Select that option and drag the slider to the right. It will increase your font size. If you slide it to the left, you will decrease your font size. Or you can go into the properties panel and do a specific point size for your text. I'm going to do 60. Here we go. Nice whole number. And I'm going to make this red, bright red. For this one, we're going to do a very simple grid repeat. Choose our repeat tool over here and choose grid. Now the grid automatically shoots it off in both directions, but I only want it in one direction, and I'll show you why. I'm going to pull this slider all the way in, and then pull this slider all the way down. I'm going to mess with the spacing of these just so that they're a little bit closer together. Bit too many. There we go. Let's go back into our repeat options, and instead of grid, let's choose radial. So you can layer, oh, it turns into something like that. You can layer your repeat options on top of each other in the program, and they won't disrupt each other. They will just apply on top. It's kind of like pages. Like you have this page that does one thing and then this page that does another thing, and they stack on top without destroying and breaking each other up. This is our new radial repeat here. I'm going to increase the amount by dragging this slider up. So it kind of looks like this. I'm going to hold down my touch selector, which is the circle over here, and I'm going to pull in the outer corner and just centralize this on the artboard. I think I may have too many. Let me decrease this a little bit. There we go. Now, when it comes to making this look a little bit better, because this is very simple, but there's a lot of odd spacing going on. Take this little circle, I'm going to pull it in, so that we get a really beautiful pattern going on in the center here. And then if you move this circle left and right, you get this kind of kaleidoscope type of pattern going on. It's really quite cool how it does this. I'm going to make it to where it looks a little less congested here. Let's also increase the size of this a little bit. Center it on the artboard. If you all are wondering how I'm centering this so perfectly, there are guides, these pink guide marks that show up that let you know when it's perfectly square. When you have it perfectly square on the artboard, there will be two pink lines that show up like crosshairs, and they will let you know that yes, you are perfectly square on the artboard. Do a background right now, and this is going to be my darkest red. I'm going to send that to the back, and so it looks like it's just going to never end all the way into the abyss, basically. I'm going to double tap into that last word there. Make it a bit darker just so that way it doesn't completely get lost. There we go. So that is the second type repeat that we are doing here. Now we're going to go into our third one for grow, which looks like this. I'm going to show you how we do this one. First thing I'm going to do, of course, I'm going to do a background, just a square, and no, it is not going to be red. It is going to be a beautiful tan color, just like a light tan color, just to start off with. Let me save that as a swatch. For those of you who don't know how to save swatches, in your fill selector over here, under the swatches area, there is a plus sign and then there is a camera. The camera is if you take a picture of anything and it will take the swatches for you. When you select a color in the program, you can press the plus sign and it will add it automatically in line order. Here we go. So for this one, I'm going to choose the word grow. So let's choose our type tool, tap on the screen. Illustrator is very intuitive. It will use the last font that you picked as your next font that is used for the next word. I'm going to type out grow, but I don't want this font. This was Haas Round. You can download it. I think it's on Google Fonts or it's on Adobe Fonts, one of the two. You can get them from anywhere, from either place. And the one I'm going to choose is going to be a beautiful Fairwater Deco Serif Regular. Again, you can also download this as well. In the Properties panel under Type, when you're picking your font, there is a option under here labeled More Fonts. You can tap on that and you can download more fonts onto your iPad from there. I'm going to make it white just for ease. Let's see, what is my size here? I'm going to do a nice even 40. And for this repeat option, we're going to use two different ones. Go into our repeat options. Grid is the first one we're going to use. Bring that down so there's just two showing. Just like that, just pull the sliders in and up. I'm also going to increase this spacing here. There we go. I'm then going to go back into the repeat options and then let's choose mirror because we haven't used mirror and I don't really experiment with mirror too much. But let's choose mirror and it's going to mirror it across, kind of like an open book. Since this is a mirror, there are these massive handle here. You can move the center of it and it moves it away or moves it closer. I'm going to move it just a bit closer. And then when you tap on one of these corners, it rotates it for you. So I'm going to rotate it in this direction and I'm going to bring it closer. You can always deselect to figure out if it looks right to you. Let's move it further away and let's rotate it the opposite direction because I want this to be able to be red, how it's supposed to be red. You can mirror this across however you need it to go. I just flipped it. So there is our first mirror. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to mirror it one more time by layering the mirrors on top of each other, just like so. I need this to go like that. There we go. This one I need flipped. There we go. So I'm just flipping them so you can expand them and then flip them so that way they can be read in the correct orientation. Just double tap in. And then you can flip them however you need them to be using the Align and Distribute option in the right toolbar. Tap on both of them, and then let's increase the size of it until it's pretty much to the edge of the artboard. So I'm going to group these together just to make it easier for myself. So let's duplicate them by pressing on the double pages in the Quick Selection menu. Hold down your touch selector, slide to any direction and then tap a corner and push in and you get this lovely effect here. So let's repeat all the way down until you have as many duplications as you like. I like that. And then the one at the very top, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to pull the corner out. There we go. Do not worry that these are coming off of the artboard. I'm going to clip mask it so that way you do not see them. So let's tap on the entire layer. Let's not include the background rectangle. And let's just shift this all slightly down. There we go, so that it's more central. Now all we have to do is just change the colors until they gradate downwards. You can tap in till it's all the way down to the base. This may be easier to do in your layers panel. Just expand the layers until you get to the words where it says Grid Repeat. And we're going to change all of the colors and repeat the process until it all gradates down into the center in the background. Go, and then by the end of it, you'll have something that looks like this. So once you have all the colors chosen for every single line, then we can go in and we can do our background finishing. So let's choose the rectangle in the background. And for this one, I did a gradient as well. I chose a radial gradient. You can choose whichever gradient you would like. I found a radial gradient worked best. For the outer color was the tan, and for the inner color, I chose a really deep brown, which made it look really cool. And then for the outer tan, I took the opacity down quite a bit, so that way it looked much better. Just like so. If it looks too light on the edges, that is okay. You can always go back in and just pull the outer color more outward, and it will make it less white so that way you have more of the color coming forward. And then the only last thing to do is to create a new rectangle on top. Select everything in the layer by tapping on the layer itself in the Layers panel. Go into the Object selection on the right toolbar and select Make Clipping Mask. So we went over quite a few. These are the 3 that we have created. I hope this helped you a little bit to experiment more with making patterns in Illustrator on the iPad with type. You can get a lot of different looks. I may even showcase this more over on my Instagram. If you guys are not following me, go ahead and follow me. I showcase a lot of my work on Instagram, so go ahead and check me out over there if you haven't already. If you all liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know of anything that you would like to see. I always read the comments and I do my best to answer all of them. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, creatives.